Welcome to this edition of the Government News Brief for Friday, October 21, 2016. In the news, Region 5 to computerize medical supplies records, government working with UNDP to incorporate protective factors into state policies, and ICT will help in creating a green economy. Stay tuned for the details. Thank you for staying with us. I am Renetta Lafleur. Here now are the details. Region 5 plans to computerize its medical supplies records. This would ensure faster replenishment of drugs and other materials. Delicia Haynes has the details.
Regional Health Officer Acting of Region 5, Dr. Stephen Shifun, says a computerized system for drugs and medical supplies would help the region to be more accountable. He says this would be eliminating the chances of drug shortages.
The reason why we're doing this is because all of the rumors about shortages of this and shortages of that. Now, why are they being rumored that way is because no one has ever, patients come, they go to one health center, they collect drugs, then they come to the hospital, they collect that same drug, they go to the next health center, they can collect that drugs. Because nothing is being in a systematic way that you can monitor if Tom Jones has collected drugs before he hasn't received his drugs this month.
Dr. Shifun says the idea has been put to the ministers and senior officials of the Ministry of Public Health as well as regional administration. The system has already been designed and is awaiting approval for implementation into the public health system.
If you're from Cotton Tree, you'll go to Cotton Tree Health Center to receive your drug because we're catering for you at Cotton Tree Health Center, that you're in that catchment. The only way you're going to come and receive those drugs at this hospital here or at another center is if you were referred from that hospital for control, for better admission, for control of the sugar or the blood pressure or your dyslipidemia.
The implementation of this drug monitoring system will contribute to the overall development of the health sector in Region 5. For the Government News Brief, I am Delicia Haynes.
The government is working with the UNDP to ensure that protective factors are incorporated into state policies. Tiffany Rodias tells us more.
The 2016 United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, Caribbean Human Development Report cited that women and youth are particularly vulnerable across the Caribbean. Women and young girls are particularly vulnerable to poverty and violence. Regional advisor at the UNDP, Kenroy Roach, believes that addressing the root causes of poverty is essential in securing a bright future, particularly for young girls.
In terms of addressing poverty, we believe that the root causes of poverty, the root causes of inequality need to be addressed. In other words, we believe that you need to improve women and youth, young women in particular, access to services, as a way of removing or improving their health outcomes and removing some of the health challenges that they see later in life.
There are some 7,000 10-year-old girls in Guyana, according to the UNFPA State of World Population 2016. To secure their futures and address their challenges, Minister of Finance Winston Jordan says comprehensive policies buttressed by a sustainable economic base is needed.
The need for comprehensive policies which must be developed and institutionalized to protect populations suffering from discrimination and historical exclusions. In the final analysis, a sustainable economic base is what is needed if development is to take place.
Over the last 10 years, Guyana's economy has registered positive economic growth. The country remains an outstanding example for the Caribbean in bridging the gender gap, with more than 30% of parliamentarians being women. Guyana was also credited by the UNDP's Caribbean Human Development Report for improving its child malnutrition, infant mortality, and average schooling rates, among others. These are positive indicators for the future of Guyana's young girls. But the challenge of youth unemployment and female labor participation remains. Rhodes says the UNDP can support the efforts of the government to overcome these challenges. For the Government News Brief, I'm Tiffany Rogers.
The development of the ICT sector is going to parallel the efforts for transition into a green economy. Delon Sanko explains.
Minister of Public Telecommunication Catherine Hughes says the government is looking to use renewable energies to support ICT infrastructure in the hinterland areas.
Everything is so interconnected, Beverly. We are talking about creating ICT hubs in the most remote of communities. There's no GPL there. There's no, right now at this point in time, no hydro dam that's providing electricity to these areas. So this whole thrust has to be supported by a very aggressive green economy policy that looks at the renewable sources of energy.
Reiterating the government's commitment to a green economy, the minister says that the efforts to assess local hydropower projects are continuing.
The pressure is on within this government to find additional sources and projects that we can develop our hydro potential. We've not put that aside when we put aside Amalia. All we said is that that was far too expensive given what it was giving us. And therefore, right now, on the table, there are a few projects that are being investigated.
You said that the hydropower is a huge area, and therefore the possibilities of ensuring there is power for the ICT projects through renewable energy sources is a reality, and they can only deliver if the two goes hand in hand. Delon Sanko for the Government News Brief.
Now that the National Youth Policy has been adopted in the National Assembly, the Youth Department is wasting no time in engaging young people. Isaiah Braffett reports.
Director of Youth Melissa Carmichael says her department has been meeting with youth groups that are registered with the department. She says these meetings help to identify the needs of young people.
We want to know who are the stakeholders that we should engage. And very often, it is better for us to be brought onto than for us to take a project to these young people. It is better for the youth leaders who stand as the mediators between the young people and the department to speak to us and tell us this is what the young people are calling for and these are areas that they're interested in.
Carmichael says information gathered at the meetings would help the department to create better programs and foster partnership with the youth groups. She says groups in North Georgetown have already been consulted.
We met with them, they shared with us their challenges, we shared with them our vision, and they would have also informed us of some of the projects where we can collaborate with them on, where the ministry can assist or give a hand.
The officials are encouraging all youth groups to get registered with the Department of Youth, as this will afford them the opportunity to voice their concerns and have them addressed. Isaiah Braffett for the Government News Brief.
Essequibo farmer Suendro Subdiu may have been able to minimize his losses if he had followed the GLDA's advice. The farmer had complained to the media that his herd was dying and the GLDA was not acting with haste to help him find a solution. Now the head of GLDA speaks out.
Chief Executive Officer of the GLDA, Nigel Cumberbatch, says the death of a significant part of the cattle farmer's herd is a result of poor nutrition.
The problems that the farmer has been experiencing on his farm has started well in excess of a year ago. As a matter of fact, the first report that we have would have been sometime around March in 2015. And at that time, he indicated that 61 of his animals were, or we would have indicated that 61 of his animals were suffering from anemia-type symptoms.
Cumberbatch also told the Government Information Agency that the farmer, which is located in the Bursori Conservancy, closer to East Bank, Essequibo, does not have adequate grazing for the number of animals on the farm.
We would have also vaccinated his animals for rabies because in that location there are a number of bats, and so that could also be a possible cause, though we seem to feel strongly that it is more related to the nutrition the lack of nutrition there because of the unavailability of grazing material.
The GLDA chief says a second team of veterinary and field staff have been dispatched to collect blood and tissue samples to aid in further diagnosis. Cumberpatch is encouraging farmers to consult the agency for technical advice before proceeding to establish farms.
Unless we are part and parcel of the planning, then these things will happen. We are here to give help. We will always be here to do that. But we have to know what people are planning to do. If not, then they're going to go in and their losses are going to be tremendous.
The GLDA is the agency of the Ministry of Agriculture, which is tasked with the provision of technical and extension services to stakeholders of the livestock sector. Neola Damon for Government News Brief.
We have come to the end of today's edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on GINA's website. GINA has an active Facebook page, and we encourage you to visit and like us so you can be informed as the news unfolds. Do join us again on Monday for another edition of the Government News Brief. I am Renetta LaFleur, wishing you a great weekend. Thank you for watching.